Welcome, patrons. I'm in the mood for some more elven gods, so let's talk about the counterpart of the god from the last video I did on it, the elven god Sylaise. Myth. To the Dalish, Sylaise is the god of the domestic arts and is known as the Hearthkeeper. She is prayed to when one is sick and to watch over innocence. Similar to Andrul, there is what is known as a path of Sylaise. The path is for those who choose to live by her ways. In Elven, this path is called the Vir Atishan, the Way of Peace. Now, while the path of Andrul has rules actually laid out in the lore, the Vir Atishan is mostly unknown to us at the moment, but the basics seem to be that it is followed by those who want to learn the art of healing and mending. In the myth, the Dalish believe she is the goddess who blessed them with the knowledge of herbs, easing childbirth, weaving ropes and threads, fire, how to keep a fire, and healing magic. Her name is invoked and often sung during a lighting and quenching of a fire, for protection for the home, keeping of children and those who are close to the hearth safe, and marriage ceremonies.
Sylaise inaste var aravel, lama, aralas mirlas, belanaris.
To bless Aravels, the Dalish also sprinkle some fragrant tree moss around the landship and pray for her for protection. In the Dragon Age origin Dalish camp, she's also one of the few gods represented by a humanoid figure rather than the strange mask that some of the other gods have. For the goddess herself, she is consistently believed to be the sister of Andrul. However, there is nothing said about her parentage, and Andrul is said to be either the child of the earth or a daughter of Mythal and Elgranon, so it is presumed that Sylaise's background would match that of Andrul's. A story the Dalish tell speaks of the two as children. While Andrul loved the wild, Sylaise preferred to stay home singing and doing art. It is also said that Sylaise is either the wife or sister to Janae. Either way, the two are often connected to one another in the lore, to the point that some entries about Janae actually end up talking more about Sylaise. Reality. Similar to Janae, we just don't really have that much information that differs from what the Dalish believe. We do have a record from the Vir Dothara of Blessed Sylaise gifting clever Janae a grandson Liam, which we still don't know what that is, and thanks for a great favor. But we do have one more piece than Janae has, a song that is found in the Temple of Mythal and likely from the time when she actually ruled. Sylaise whose heat rivals Elgranon's light. Sylaise whose temples rival Mythal's cities. Sylaise whose breath rivals Andrul's spear. Sylaise whose skill rivals Janae's craft. Sylaise whose fire cannot be quenched. We give ourselves gladly to your service. Which I really have nothing solid to say on that, so let's quickly move on to theory. Alright, so Sylaise seems like the most innocent god so far, as even the strange poem dedicated to her is fairly benign. Pretty much every god from here on out has some sort of negative trait given to them. But let's take a moment to focus on the poem. For the most part, it seems that it's sort of an oath said likely by her slaves, comparing her to other gods and how she is better than them all. What's curious is that it only mentions 4 other gods, and those 4 gods seem to tie in well with what we know of her background. Her presumed husband/brother, Janae, sister Andrul, and perhaps parents, but nonetheless leaders of the Elven Pantheon, Elgranon and Mythal. My question lies in how she betters them. Heat is better than light. Is Elgranon cold? Why is she known for heat and not fire? Or is it both? Her temples are better than cities. Why not her cities? Does she not have them? Do her presumed slaves only live to worship her in temples? Why does she have skill and Janae have a craft? What is Janae's craft? What is her skill? And what catches my eye the most, how does her breath rival a spear? Is this literal in that her breath is a weapon, like she breathes fire or something crazy like that? Is she connected to a dragon? Or are her followers focusing on her peacefulness over a weapon? Could perhaps the use of the word breath not be literal, but perhaps mean her words? Would Sylaise have been more diplomatic than Andrul? Overall, we are just left with much more questions than answers as usual. But while I do think that the evidence given to us paints Sylaise in a positive light, remember that Sylaise calls Mythal the best of the elven gods. We have heard of some extremely troubling stories that came from Mythal, which makes one wonder what Sylaise has hidden away, perhaps covered up with a thick paint of beauty and false protection. And that, dear patrons, is all that I have on Sylaise. Do you have lingering questions, proof that I'm wrong, comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at @Gildathon on Twitter or send a PM to user Gillanon on Reddit. To rest you're all.